अनित्यदृश्येषु विविच्य नित्यम् तस्मिन् समाधात्य इह स्मलीलया विवेकवैराग्यविशुद्धचित्तम् योऽसो विवेकी तमहं नमामि. Revered Srimad Swami Mahaprajnananda Ji Maharaj and revered Srimad Swami Vivekananda Ji Maharaj, my humble pranams to both of them. Today we have Professor Gautam Banerjee with us and Professor Shiharan Chakraborty and Professor Tuhin Kumar Shamanto. So my namaskar, respect and regards, and my namaskar and best wishes to all other monastic members of Ramakrishna Mission, Shikshana Mandira. So today our topic of discussion is a kind of revisiting Swami Vivekananda in the light of this parliament of religion. I would like to begin with utterance of Swami Vivekananda, which was proclaimed in September 19th, 1893. Basically, it was a paper which he presented on that particular day, the Parliament of Religion. This paper was basically on Hinduism. In that, once Swamiji mentioned, "Ye are the children of God, the shares of immortal bliss, holy and perfect beings, ye divinities on earth. Sinner, it is a great sin to call a man so. It's a standing libel on human nature. Come up, O lions, shake off the delusion that you are shaped. Your souls immortal, spirits free, blessed and eternal. Ye are not matter, ye are not bodies. Matter is your servant, not you are the servant of matter." Though uttered in September 19, 1893, this message of Swami Vivekananda perhaps is equally important even today. Rather, we can say this is not the need of the day, perhaps the need of the hour. Why? Because in this particular and in many other situations, in many other utterances, Swamiji emphasized the quintessence of the Sanatana Dharma. And of course, there lies the root of the harmonious way of living, which is again the need of the hour. I started with this particular paper on Hinduism, which Swamiji presented on September 19, 1893 in the Parliament of Religion. But the quest of a very dynamic and modern Hinduism, especially in Vivekananda, came much earlier. And at that particular time, India, especially this Bengal, our land, the then capital of the British India, was facing a historic crisis. Our Sanatana Dharma, basically, it was, in a juncture of a tremendous crisis. The sweeping influence of Western culture was dominating the educated society in India. The leading role was played by the Young Bengals, as we know very well, founded by Henry Louis Vivian de Rosio. And interestingly, in those days, the education policy formulated by Lord Macaulay in 1831, who mentioned, "I have never found one among them who could deny the single self of a good European library was work of the whole native literature of India and Arabia." So such was his intention. And in 1836, Macaulay once again, he mentioned that our English schools were flourishing wonderfully. If our plans of education are followed up, there will be not a single idolater, that is Hindus, among the respected classes in 30 years henceforth. But that was a tremendous crisis, what Swamiji faced at that time. And as we know very well, he himself was influenced by the ideas of this Brahma movement, Keshav Chandra Sen and all. At that particular juncture, Swamiji came across one priest in Dakshineshwar. From the standpoint of modern idea of education, Sri Ramakrishna, that priest, he had no formal education, but in him, Swamiji found a confluence of the Eastern and Western religions, especially the ideas of East and West, culminated. In that world of irrational orthodoxy, poverty, exploitation of masses, and the constant quarrels among the hundreds of Hindu sects, Vivekananda saw the emergence of the great figure, harmonizer, in his Guru. And Swamiji, I would like to read out Swamiji's famous thought. Swamiji said to him, and in Ramakrishna's life, was an extraordinary searchlight under whose illumination one is able to really understand the whole scope of Hindu religions. And one of his South Indian disciples, Salasingha, Swamiji was writing, he showed by his life what the rishis and avatars really wanted to teach. The books were theories, and he has the realization with him. The great life before Swami Vivekananda helped him to understand what really Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma is. And later, he himself also applied this, practiced and applied this, and presented in the most modern and logical way before the entire human civilization. And you see, initially, he had to struggle a lot. In West, many places we heard that Swamiji very rarely mentioned the name of his Guru, except we got a very concrete one lecture, what we call My Master. Swamiji once he mentioned that if I had spoken of these acts to them, that is Sri Ramakrishna and his sadhana, etc., to the Westerners, they would have thrown me and my Guru into the nearest ditch. In those days, perhaps, the Western mindset was not ready to accept this thing. In একটা জায়গায় স্বামীজিকে যখন প্রশ্ন করা হয়েছিল, স্বামীজি খুব সুন্দর বলছেন, কেন তিনি শ্রীরামকৃষ্ণকে সেইভাবে প্রচার করেননি ইনিশিয়ালি। স্বামীজি বলছেন যে ওরকম বলতে গেলে তারা বলতো যে তুমি আর নতুন কি বলছো, অবতারবাদের জন্য আমাদের গুরুই, আমাদের যীশুখ্রিস্টই তো আমাদের কাছে রয়েছে। But interestingly, it was found that before Swamiji, we got a very erudite scholar whose name was Professor Max Muller, who already wrote a biography on Sri Ramakrishna, the real Mahatman. And though based on the very scanty source available to the author, the book was landmark as it was the first biography of the master, and even before any such biography written in India. So Swamiji once mentioned within the 10 years of his passing away, This power has enriched the globe. If this nation wants to rise, take my word for it, it will have to really enthusiastically round his name. So this we find. And to Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji got a very new dimension of Hinduism in the life of his master, Swami Vivekananda. He himself told Nivedita that while Orthodox Hinduism considered the one as real and many as unreal, he and his master considered the many as only various manifestations of the one reality. And Nivedita summed up her master's unique contribution of his new dimension to Hinduism, telling, "It is this which adds its crowning significance towards master's life, for there he becomes the meeting point not only of East and West, but also of past and future." Shankaracharya depicted this in his famous Advaita philosophy, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya Jiva Brahmaivana Apara. In Sri Ramakrishna's life and teaching, especially a new arena, a new panacea came out, that is Brahma Satya Jagat Leela. ঠাকুর বলতেন এই সমস্ত জগতে তার মা পরিব্যাপ্ত হয়ে আছেন, মায়ের খেলা। একটি নূতন ধারণা আমরা ঠাকুরের জীবনে পাই, এবং সেখানেও স্বামী বিবেকানন্দ সেটিকে খুব সুন্দরভাবে আমাদের সমাজের জন্য নতুন করে তুলে ধরেছিলেন। এরপরে আমরা যখন পার্লামেন্ট অফ রিলিজিয়ন, আমরা যেখানে যে আলোচনার মধ্যে আমরা ছিলাম, সেখানে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে স্বামীজি দ্বিতীয় দিনের অর্থাৎ 19শে সেপ্টেম্বরের যে লেকচারের কথা আমরা বলছিলাম, সেইখানেও হিন্দুইজমের ওপরে যে পেপার স্বামীজি প্রেজেন্ট করেছেন, সেইখানেও এই তত্ত্বটি উনি খুব সুন্দর করে স্বামীজি আমাদের কাছে তুলে ধরছেন, ব্যাখ্যা করছেন। কিরকম? খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ কয়েকটি তথ্য, কয়েকটি বিষয়ের ওপর স্বামীজি আলোকপাত করেছেন। স্বামীজি প্রথমে বলছেন, এটা দিয়ে মানে এই পেপারের মধ্যে বক্তব্যটিতে বলা হচ্ছে, the doctrine of love declared in these Vedas, and let us see how it is fully developed and taught by Krishna, whom Hindus believe to have been God incarnated on earth. He taught that a man ought to live in this world like a lotus leaf, which grows in water but is never moistened by water. So a man ought to live in the world, his heart to God and his head to work. হিন্দু ধর্মের, সনাতন ধর্মের এই তত্ত্বটি স্বামীজি খুব সুন্দরভাবে তুলে ধরছেন, যে প্রকৃত অর্থে হিন্দু ধর্ম বা সনাতন ধর্ম বলতে আমরা বুঝি যথার্থ অর্থে সংহতি। এবং এই পেপারেই আত্মার মহিমা স্বামীজি ঘোষণা করেছেন, এবং তার মূল সূত্রটির সাথে তিনি আমাদের ধরিয়ে দিচ্ছেন। বলছেন কি করে যথার্থভাবে সমন্বয় এবং সম্প্রীতির ভাবে এই পৃথিবীতে বাস করা যায়। স্বামীজি আমাদের এইভাবে বুঝিয়ে দিচ্ছেন যে এই সংহতি এবং সম্প্রীতির মূল সেটি হচ্ছে এই ঐক্য ভাবনা, যেখানে ভগবানের প্রতি ভালোবাসা, এবং এই ভগবানের প্রতি ভালোবাসাই আমাদের যথার্থভাবে সেই ধ্রুব লক্ষ্যের দিকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে যেতে পারে। স্বামীজি এইখানে হিন্দু ধর্মের যে আত্মা, তার স্বরূপ, সেটিকে ব্যাখ্যা করেছেন। বলছেন হিন্দুরা বোঝে আত্মার মুক্তি, এবং এই আত্মা নিজেকে কেন বদ্ধভাবে, সেই বন্ধন মুক্তি তার অন্যতম উপায় হিসেবে স্বামীজি ভগবানের প্রতি প্রীতি এবং ভালোবাসাকে পথ হিসাবে নির্দেশ করেছেন। এবং স্বামীজি খুব সুন্দরভাবে শেষ করছেন, বলছেন thus the whole object of the system, মানে system of Hindu, is by constant struggle to become perfect, to become divine, to reach God and see God. And this reaching God, seeing God, becoming perfect, even as the Father in the heaven is perfect, constitute the religion of Hindus. And what becomes of a man when he attains perfection? He lives a life of bliss infinite. He enjoys infinite and perfect bliss, having obtained the only thing in which a man ought to have pleasure, namely God, and enjoys the bliss with God. এবং সবশেষে স্বামীজি বলছেন, this is the common religion of all the sects of India, but then perfection is absolute, and the absolute cannot be two or three. It cannot have any qualities. It can't be an individual. And so when a souls become perfect and absolute. বৈদিক ঋষি কণ্ঠে আমরা যে উদাত্ত ঘোষণা শুনেছি, স্বামীজি যেন সেই কথাটি আমাদের মনে করিয়ে দিচ্ছেন। এই চিকাগো বক্তৃতার কালেই স্বামীজি ঘোষণা করেছিলেন, রুচিনাম বৈচিত্রাদ্রিজ কুটিল নানা পথজুষাম ঋণ্যাম একম গম্যস্তমসি পয়সাম অন্নবৈব। অর্থাৎ সেই সম্প্রীতি এবং সেই ঐক্য ভাবনা, সেটি মানব জাতিকে যথার্থ শান্তির রাস্তা দেখাতে পারে, এবং সেটি আজকের সমাজে আমাদের আসল লক্ষ্য হিসাবে নির্ধারিত। আবারও সকলকে ধন্যবাদ এবং নমস্কার জানাচ্ছি।